We are racing towards the end of the year, and if you're anything like me, I start to look back on all those goals, all those challenges I signed up for, all the aims I had, and realise that I'm falling short somewhere. So this video is about trying to mitigate some of that stress. Whether it's because you just need to get more books in to hit that Goodreads number and stop it bitching at you, or whether you specifically have some challenges, you're looking for books that fit certain tropes or certain titles, colours, anything like that. I have 10 books here that I think are all really good. Not gonna expect you to read things that they're bad just to fit them in because they're short. These are all short books that I think are really enjoyable. There are mostly novellas here. I'm not a huge short story person, but I do have a couple even of those that you can knock out in half an hour to an hour. So this will definitely help you hit those end of the year goals. These are books that I personally enjoy, so they are going to hit more my type of genres. There are a few contemporaries, but by and large these are all things with some kind of sci-fi, fantasy, horror, speculative element to them. The first one is Cinder by Freya Marske. I read this one just at Halloween and it was the perfect book for that time of year. This is a Cinderella retelling that sets up right from the start that our Cinderella is a ghost who is tied to a sentient version of her stepmother's house. Freya Marske done an amazing job of packing atmosphere into this story. That eeriness, that creepiness comes through so well, and it just toes that line of horror where we have that inevitability and that trapped feeling that Ella experiences. Gives you that sense of gothic drama without it being overly gory. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of the few novellas that I have come out of and thought it was the right length. My usual problem with novellas is that if I've really enjoyed the concept, I finish the book going, I wish this was a full novel. This one I thought was just perfectly fitted to its page count, and I really thought it was a really solid book to try. If you're wanting something super quick, then I highly recommend The Lay of Lilyfinger by G.V. Anderson. This is 35 pages and it's available for free on the Reactor Mag website. It is about a musician and her apprentice. They are travelling through, and it's about the importance of a particular song, a particular musical tradition within this fantastical society. I think it really makes you think, and it packs so many ideas and so much nuance into those 35 pages that it's one that sticks with you. Then I have But Not Too Bold by Hache Pueyo. This one is not for everyone. This is a monster romance about a spider woman, and our main character, our human protagonist, has just been promoted to be the keeper of the keys in this spider woman's household. The reason she's been promoted is because her predecessor was found to have been stealing and was eaten. So our heroine now has to uncover what actually happened with this crime, while at the same time she is gradually falling for her employer. I really enjoyed it. I thought the atmosphere was absolutely top tier. I loved the house. I loved the gothic drama of it. I thought the mystery was intriguing. The romance is maybe not quite as prevalent as I had been expecting from the hype around the book, what I'd heard about it, but I do think it was a really enjoyable read and I would recommend it. Maybe one to be careful of if you aren't a fan of spiders though. So the next one is very much definitely a highly recommended book for my audiobook lovers. This is Tamsyn Muir's standalone, Princess Floralinda and the 40 Flight Tower. It is a fairy tale type of story, although not a retelling, about a princess who is trapped in this 40 Flight Tower. And when she sees all these noble, strong, brave knights fail to rescue her, she decides that instead of waiting for someone to work their way up the tower, she is instead going to work her way down and free herself. Each of these 40 flights though has a monster or a challenge or something she has to defeat, and within its like 4-hour 1x speed listening. I think this does a really good job of a fairy tale version of Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I think if you enjoyed one you might enjoy the other. It has that wry sense of humour, and I think fans of obviously Tamsyn Muir's Locked Tomb series are going to love this, but also readers who maybe didn't love the Locked Tomb series will get something from this too. I think this is a little bit more accessible. It's a little bit easier if you don't quite get the style of the Locked Tomb series, then this might be the Tamsyn Muir for you. This is one I actually really want to reread, and I might try and get to by the end of the year. We're going back to short stories, and I think this is maybe a little bit of a cheat, but it's my list so I can do what I want. Instead of a specific short story, I'm going to recommend you an author that I think you should try. Johannes T. Evans is prolific. He has full-length novels, he has novellas, and he has a really big back catalogue of short stories. He is a trans author, so most of his books will feature trans representation or queer representation in some way, as well as either disability, chronic fatigue, or social injustice, social inequality issues. I really enjoy his short stories. I'm not saying I've loved every one, but they are always a really solid bet, and he writes broadly in a lot of genres, so there should be something for you. So there's lots to pick from. My personal favourites are Hitting the Books, which is about a newly qualified teacher. He goes back to the school he went to and develops a relationship with one of the teachers he had a crush on. Then I would recommend St. Jude's Kitchen. This is about a sailor, a deckhand, who has been injured, and thus he has to stay dockside for a while he recovers. And during that time he develops a love of cooking, he explores his passion for that, and he develops a relationship with the dock master who supports him, and they gradually build a romance, despite the fact that this dockmaster is pretty much a nemesis or a rival of Jude's family. Then I have another batch that you're going to get more than one book for your buck. This is the SOS Hotel series by Ariana Nash, writing as Adam Vex. The conceit of this series is that Adam Vex, the author, is actually the main character, and he is telling you this story. It's a paranormal, supernatural world in our world. There's been a rip in space-time reality, and all the demons, all the vampires, all those sort of things have come through and are now a relatively normal part of our world. Adam is our human protagonist who runs this hotel that is to be a sanctuary for all these creatures, but he has secrets of his own. We also have two love interests. This is a polyamorous, eventually, series. We have his sex-positive, fun incubus business partner and the grumpy, stuck in his ways but very polished vampire who helps them out. There are 10 books in the series so far, I think, with a specifically Christmas short story special. However, I think the first 7 books are pretty much an arc. That is where the series is intended to end. That's the story that's set inside the hotel. And then the last 3 books are out on the road and are more like a little mini trilogy to top it off. I really enjoyed these books. I absolutely flew through them. They are quite spicy, but there is a good level of fantasy plot to them too, if that's more your scene. I really enjoyed the dynamic between the characters. I really enjoyed the creativity in the world building, the way the different creatures are portrayed. I thought it was a lot of fun. Each book falls somewhere in the range of about 150 to 200, so none of them are going to take you that long to get through, and if you do enjoy it, you have quite a big series to work through. Then I have The Fireborne Blade by Charlotte Bond. This is the first in a duology, and I haven't read the second one yet, but this stood pretty well on its own, and I do intend to pick up the sequel. This is about knights and dragons and dragon slaying. In it we have our noble knight Madeline, who is looking to redeem her valor, her reputation by searching out and retrieving this mythical Fireborne blade. In amongst Madeline's journey, we also get snippets from other knights along the way, other knights through the centuries who have taken on dragons, and we get to see whether maybe the narrative isn't always as straightforward or as honest as we think it might be. This had a hell of a twist at the end that I did not see coming, and I genuinely was blown away by. I really enjoyed this, and I think it is very unique. Another really unique book that does something different is Murdering Mr. Edwards by Shawn L. Bird. This is almost a series of short stories. The titular character, I wouldn't necessarily say is the main character, but is, I guess, the lead, is Mr. Edwards, who is a really unlikable, set in his ways, been there since the bedrocks English teacher. And basically in each of our short stories, we see the way in which he infuriates one of the other staff members and how they personally kill him or get rid of him, usually in some quirky way that is tied into their specific subject. So we have shop teachers and gym teachers. The subtitle of this book is Canterbury High, and it does have that Canterbury Tales type of feel. It's a really good one, I think, for this time of year because you don't need to remember what you read in the previous story to read the next one. Each of these little vignettes is a standalone. So this would be the perfect type of book during the holidays if you think you're going to sit down for half an hour but you might not get back to the book for a couple of days. This is really good. You don't need to worry about continuity. You don't need to worry about remembering what happened last. It'd be a really good one to dip in and out of. And it's a lot of fun. It's ridiculous, but it's a lot of fun. And when I listened to the author's note at the end, Bird actually talks about the fact that she went to her colleagues, her other teacher friends, to get them to give her ideas over what the best strategy for this murder would be in their specific department. And I think that real love of teaching, that real love of education in schools and the specific subjects and what that should be, that what education should be, comes through along with a real honesty about what it is on a day-to-day basis. I think that it just really permeates the whole story, and it was a really interesting, really enjoyable, really nonsense set of shorts. Then my last recommendation here is one that actually would fit the season if you are specifically wanting that. This is Hen Fever by Olivia Waite. Olivia Waite writes really good sapphic historical fiction. Her history always feels really grounded and really realistic. I think she picks really important moments to get that uniqueness from, but once you've got that moment, it feels really grounded. I really enjoy her Feminine Pursuit series where she tackles different sapphic couples in really unconventional for women professions. This is set in Victorian wartime, in the kind of the home front, if you like, and it's a very small village. They're all getting on, doing their bit, except when it comes to Christmas, and they have this poultry show which the whole town goes wild for, the village, whatever, the size of it. They are so invested in this competition, and I, who know nothing about chickens, who care nothing about chickens, was also suddenly fascinated by the different kind of categories, by the level of obsession these people have. I was so invested in these chickens. And then on one really cold night, some of the chickens escape. And so we have our protagonist and her love for this contest and everything it means to her, the chickens themselves, and she comes into contact with the wealthy people who have just moved into the big house, and they would quite like to eat the chickens. It all sounds really ridiculous, and there's maybe not the most plot to it, but what I think it really does well is it is a beautiful look at what life is like in wartime when you are the ones left at home, when you are the ones left behind, and you just have to get on with things, and the way that can be a bit of a pressure cooker and you find release where you can. It's also a really nice look at the horrors of war, the effects of war, both on the people that fight it and on the people that don't. It is a look at grief and about connection between human beings. It is set over Christmas, it is set in the winter. it's going to give you all those holiday vibes if that's what you're looking for. And it clocks in at something like 95 pages. I really hope that some of these books have been of interest to you. I know that we are all trying to hit those goals. If you are someone who isn't concerned about hitting those goals, then I applaud you for your fortitude. I try every year not to care about whether I hit certain numbers, and I've been better about that. But the contests I sign up for, the challenges, I tell myself I don't mind if I don't fill every square or every prompt, and then we get to December and I'm frantically looking for anything I can read that will fill those squares. So if you can resist that, then more power to you. If you have any short books, novellas, short stories, anything that you think would fit really well on this list, then please do let me know in the comments. I would love to add them to my own TBR, especially for next year, which I am already thinking about. If you just want to show that you got to the end of this video, you could leave me an emoji of something small. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love if you could subscribe to the channel, and I hope that I will see you in the next video and in 2026.